You're pushing hard, you're presenting your business case, but nothing's moving in the room. And then you see a leader walk in, and people align with that leader even before they speak. And that's the power of influence done right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Influence to Win Leadership Masterclass with me, Namita Purohit. This masterclass is sponsored by the Lead with Ease Academy, where we coach leaders in from the inside out in becoming the powerful powerhouses that they need to be. I'm Namita Purohit. I'm a leadership and life coach, and I'm going to be your teacher, trainer, facilitator for the next 90 minutes. Hopefully, I'll try to keep it, concise it to a little lesser time than that. Um, and this is part of my promotions for my one-on-one coaching program and for enrollment for the Lead with Ease Academy. So without further delay, let's get on to the slides. Now, is this you? When you enter meetings, you're saying things, but they're not landing. No one's listening. You go to a meeting with a plan to speak, a plan to present, but you're ignored. You're steamrolled. And mind you, this even happens at the highest levels, and this happens. I've seen this happens even with some founders of their own companies. It happens in their own meetings. Or you're trying your best to move things, but there's just so much politics you got to wade through. Or you're really great at what you do, but people don't seem to buy into your idea. They trust you. You are their go-to person to resolve all the issues that they face. But when it comes to you getting everyone on board, committing to doing something together, nothing seems to work. And you present great ideas. Everyone applauds them in the meeting room, but they don't travel beyond the room. Some challenges, or this, you're the one with the great ideas, but you're being passed over you know you're being passed over for all the high visibility opportunities. Or when the pressure's on, say you are making a funding pitch to the VC, you freeze, you get flustered, and then you get upset with yourself after that. And I hear you. This can be very frustrating. It can be terribly demotivating, demoralizing, breaking, frustrating. You spend nights wondering, like, why did I not say that at that time, or why don't I know how to influence people, and why do others get away with things? Why do others less talented get away with things that I can't? You are the most deserving, I believe you, but somebody else gets ahead, and you fail at converting opportunities. And you've tried presenting the perfect business case with logic, with data, with facts, but all you hear is, let's wait. Or you've pushed harder in meetings, but you only hit more resistance. Or you've hoped that I'm going to do my work really well. All I need to do is do my work really well, and I'm going to be like that diamond who's going to shine on their own. And I don't have to reach out. I don't have to influence people, and my work should speak for itself. What these other people do is politics, and I don't want to do that. But sadly, that work doesn't speak for itself. It doesn't get us ahead. Now you hate this game. You feel like you have to become somebody else. You feel like this is politics. You feel like this is against your values, and you don't want to butter up people to move your projects, and you just hate it. And what you really want is that you're able to push without pushing. You're able to influence without playing politics. You're able to align people. People are able to see the greater good, see the greater ideas as you're speaking. And you don't have to push in all of this to make things happen. People should do the right thing. And that your presence, as soon as you walk into the room, as that second leader I talked about, you know, things should naturally happen. But it doesn't so far. But I know this is what you want. And what if I told you that there is a way that works, that is in line with your values, and it's a three-step process that will help you build the influence you want and get the buy-in you want even before you walk into the room. And whether you're trying to get, and this same three-step process works whether you're trying to get funded by a VC or you're trying to cascade your vision across the team, across your organization. The same process works. Now, why should you listen to me? It's like, okay, Namita, I get it. You understand me. You understand my pain points. You understand what I want. But why should I spend the next so many minutes of my very precious time listening to you? Now, why you should listen to me is because, and I have to establish some credentials here. I am a private coach for CEOs, founders, and senior executives, along with a very wonderful team of coaches. I also run the East Coach and Business School, where we certify coaches. I run the Heal Strong Mastery program to help people learn how to deal effectively with toxic people. I run the Lead with Ease Academy and Self Mastery programs, along with my wonderful team of coaches. And I have coached leaders from Amazon, Uber, Starbucks, Lennox, Honeywell, AstraZeneca, and so on. And I've also coached startup founders and entrepreneurs in dealing with all that they have to deal with while keeping their sanity and building their resilience and keeping their influence and their impact intact. And I've served millions through my YouTube videos. And in my previous life, I happened to be a Microsoft techie, a gold star employee. And my clients have nice things to say about me, about the impact that they felt in getting coaching from me. And these are some of the reviews. This is from somebody at Amazon, uh, Google, Walmart. Now, what also makes me different is you'll say, like, yeah, Namita, a lot of people are like you. Um, they've they also have great clients who have great things to say about them. Agreed. What makes me different is the holistic approach that I take in serving people, considering the body, energy, mind, intellect, and soul. You're a package. All of these aspects need to be balanced, need to be worked upon in order to help you operate at your full potential. I also blend Eastern wisdom and Western leadership methodologies, to because I feel that is what helped me when I was completely down and out and broken and trying to regain myself. And while Western psychology, I learned a lot, and those systems and processes really helped me. But what was a game changer for me was a lot of tips from Eastern wisdom that helped me get inner mastery and that helped me regain myself. And I can help you become a sage like leader, not somebody who's just still and does nothing, but somebody whose mind is so calm and so sharp that you end up achieving a lot more than you could have ever imagined while keeping your calmness and your integrity intact and staying energetic. Yeah, it can happen without burnout. Now, I also want to leave you, when we're starting out today, I want to leave you with a very calming thought that I've seen calms down a lot of my clients. Like about 6 weeks ago, I was serving a client who had to make a presentation about her products, a founder about her products, on some different forums for women. And one of the things that was very concerning to her was that, no, I sound salesy. I don't want to talk about, this. People will think, oh, she's here and she's selling and things like that. But and that's a challenge that a lot of us go through as leaders. But what helped her was knowing that influencing people is her job as a leader. It is part of karma yoga. It's part of doing your duty and your responsibilities, right? Your duty and responsibility doesn't end at just creating a good product and um, doing, letting it be seen and heard on its own. No, your duty is also about promoting, about sharing the benefits of that product, about influencing people for that product adaptation, influencing people to take that product ahead, take that idea ahead. And that's your job as a leader. It is expected of you from boards, teams, investors, and partners. And that's why you are where you are in the position where you are. So it is not politics, it is duty and it is service. And I really want you to have this mental shift. I really want you to consider this mental shift. When my client considered that mental shift, it just became so much easier. One of the things that we visualized was that think about how your product is going to help, how your solution is going to help so many people get relief in their life. And as she visualized that, and I said, if you don't talk about it, they'll never know about it, and they'll never have the relief that they're looking for, right? So in that sense, influencing is a service, and we can do it right without manipulation. And for those of you who are spiritually inclined, you can also see your work as an instrument and as a service, as work in service of the divine, where you are an instrument, you're doing your work perfectly, and you're partnering with higher energies, the divine energy, and that's helping you sail through. And this quantum connectedness, connectedness with the divine, and seeing everyone as a part of the divine, makes influencing very easy, because then you're operating on a different set of values, and others are also responding to you from a different set of values. So, are you ready now for the influence pie? Yes, we're going to make a pie today, the influence pie. Now, some housekeeping as we dive in is, those of you who've registered have received a link to the workbook. And I know it's too long, it's 24 pages. I know that. But that's me. I like to give everything to you, everything that you need to work upon, because all of you will be at different stages in your influence journey. And I want to make sure that all of you find something that's relevant to you and to your journey and to the stage you're at. You don't have to do the full workbook, you don't have to do it at all. You can pick the areas that uh, where you need the most saving, where you need the most learning, where you need the most growth, and you can pick that one, and you can start from there. And as you get wins, as you see the difference and the changes, then you can work on the other areas. But I'm going to cover all of it today, so you have a framework that you can work with. And I want you to close the room where you are, the tabs on your computer, on your phone, put your phone in do not disturb mode. And this is not a listen along class that you can listen along, in the background training while you're doing some other stuff. Um, and you'll be like, yeah, I'll get to the recording later on, but we don't usually get to the recording, do we? Now, how are we going to flow today? Is I'm going to share the pie method of influence. I said we're making a pie. Then I'm going to talk about why is pre-influencing important. Three things to be mindful about while building your influence strategy, because once you know the pillars of influence, you've got to build your influence strategy on those pillars, and there are some things you need to consider at that point. So we're going to cover that. There's a special invitation for those of you who want to go deeper, want to get better, sharper, faster, and then it's going to be followed by live Q&A. So you can keep posting your questions. For those of you who registered, there's a WhatsApp group that you're posting your questions on. And for those of you who are watching live, wherever you are, I'll be looking at the questions in the YouTube comments. Now, let's get into pie. Now, pie is the 3 steps to influence with ease. This is my signature methodology that I share with my clients, and I'm now sharing it with you here. Is people, inner mastery, and executive presence. And all 3 are needed. We need to develop ourselves in all 3 areas in order to do our job as leadership influencers really well. Yes? So, this is pie. As I told you, we're making a pie today. And this is the pie of influence, the influence pie that we need to build in our homes, in our leadership, so that we can have wonderful strategies through which we build those strategies based on pie, and we can influence people, and we can serve the world with our innate talent that is invested in us by the divine, and the beautiful ideas that we have to serve people and to bring relief in the lives of so many others with the wonderful leadership and the wonderful products that we're building. Now, let's start with P, which is people. P is the human factor. A lot of times, we are so busy preparing our pitch, planning what we say, what we want to say, and remembering all the points. And that's important. I did that also as a part of this presentation, making the workbook, making this presentation. what are all the things that I want to say. But on top of that, I also need to be thoughtful about where you are as a listener in your transition journey, in your leadership journey. What are some of the challenges you're facing? And I need to be mindful of that. I need to be mindful of some of your inner scripts and inner objections that are going on around influencing people, and I need to address that. I need to understand what some of your motivators are. And usually I attract people who have similar motivators as me, because that's where we can share knowledge. Um, I need to build a relationship with you over time so that there is trust, and so that when there is trust, it's easier for you to receive what I have to say. Yes, and when there's trust, I understand you better, and I shape my presentations according to you, and also your personality type, since you're my audience. Now, you as a leader need to do the same things. So while you are getting your polished deck ready, a perfect business case, your logic, your um, how your product is wonderful. I see so many times. I also work with leaders who I coach before they approach VCs, so that they have all their cases in a row. Is I see that a lot of them are so deep into the technicalities of the product that they are missing what the VC is looking for. They're missing stepping into the VC's shoes. So we're going to discuss that too, right? Now, what are some of, like, when you're entering the room, when you're entering a meeting, or there is a one-on-one. Now, we're going to do this whole thing on all the different scenarios today. And also the workbook, the way it's designed is to help you influence that one stakeholder. Yes, but the same principles can be applied and should be applied even one to many, right? And you identify the key people and you apply these principles on them, right? But now we're going to, for the sake of brevity, for the sake of ease, I'm going to focus on that one stakeholder you're trying to influence. And think of that one stakeholder you're trying to influence. And also open your workbooks. I want to show off a little bit because I spent a lot of time making this. I want to see if you could see. Yeah, this is a beautiful Influence to Win workbook that those who signed up got. And, the index is clickable. So when you click on people, the human side of influence, that's where you are. And that's where you can start working. There is an area where each of these things are described. There's a reflection question also, and then each of these things are described, and there's an area for you to write things down. And you can, I tried my best to have the tech all lined up, where you can type inside the workbook and also save your stuff. Yes. So going back to the slides now. So the first thing to consider is inner scripts. What inner scripts is this person operating by? You've probably interacted with them in the past, or you are interacting with them for the first time. But we want to build our psychology, our understanding of psychology. There are a lot of scripts, a lot of inner circuits, of inner workflows that people operate by. Now, as you're trying to convince, say, the CFO, about pitching, you're pitching, like this happens to me a lot, right? As a leadership coach and trainer, um, like people want my training and my coaching for their company, but then they have to pitch to the CFO who has his own way of doing things or her own way of doing things, right? Now, as they're pitching, I try to help my clients pitch also by putting themselves in that CFO, that approver, or that stakeholder shoes. Now, here, what are the inner scripts a CFO could be operating by? It could be that new projects go beyond budget, training is a waste of time, or if I agree easily, I'll lose control, right? They could be operating by these things. So you're like trying hard to convince, but they're like, no, I don't, their inner script is, I don't give a go in like the first meeting, because I'll lose control, I'll lose my importance. They may have that inner script and that inner rule by which they operate, yeah, belief that they operate by. Or training is a massive waste of time. How do you influence someone who thinks that training is a massive waste of time, is a waste of resources, right? What is that inner script? How are we going to influence that person? Or new projects always go beyond budget, and or they have some bias against you, where you did not deliver on time or you did not deliver results on some previous projects. So now getting funding for this one, not working very well for you, right? Now you know that they have these inner scripts, or you are discovering they have these inner scripts. So how are you going to influence them? What case are you going to present so that uh, those inner scripts are pacified? Now, if their inner script is I don't agree too easily, you know that I'm going to make 3 meetings, I'm going to make 4 meetings, I'm going to try different ways to pursue it, I'm going to make this person, I'm going to do these things so that this person feels valued and important, and I'll eventually get it. So I'm not going to get dejected if things don't happen the first or the second time with this person, unlike other people. Yes. So knowing the inner scripts of another person, very important. Next is inner motivators. Everyone has a true north, or some which may not be so true or which may not be so pure, but they have that as their true north, which is, some of them could be their entire true north, and all their decisions are driven by security, or or all their decisions are driven by stability. They don't want to make destabilize anything. Uh, or recognition, gaining recognition for themselves. Like once I was volunteering, I was one of the core organizers of this great festival that we do in Northwest and Pacific Northwest in Seattle, an Indian festival, Ananda Mela. This is about 12 years ago. I was one of the founding organizers under our leader. And I was very frustrated with some people, booths, they were giving out booths, and then people were, instead of 10 feet by 10 feet, they were taking a little bit bigger, like 15 feet by 15 feet. It was my job, because I got those sponsors, it was my job to keep them contained and keep them follow the rules. And then there were some others who were partnering and sharing tents, etc., but that was against our policy and against certain fire codes and things like that. And I was very frustrated. And then I saw another leader who was allowing all of this to happen. So when I went to our main leader, Uncle Harry Velaschi, in Seattle, and then he told me everyone wants their prasad. Everyone wants to gain something out of what they're doing. So try to understand what they want. Even these leaders who are trying to go against the rule, give them that and make things happen. So yeah, some of them were driven by recognition that hey, I'm the good guy and she's the bad cop, and I'm gonna let you do it. So understanding what is everyone's inner motivator. In this case, it was recognition. In another case, someone's inner motivator is growth at all costs. Another is control at all costs, or some are driven by values. For somebody who probably had a cancer death in their family, they are extremely concerned about pollution, and so any proposal you make, like say if you're setting up a factory and you have a lot of effluents, or you're um, nowadays with all this data and AI, they're talking about how much water is needed, how much heat is dissipated, and things like that. So they'll be very against some of these things which may lead people to difficult health challenges. So trying to understand what this person's inner motivators are. So as you're polishing and rushing to do your pitch deck, business case, numbers, all of these things, even this requires a lot of preparation, a lot of understanding, and a lot of thoughtfulness as you go about it. The next thing, inside people. So we're making the pie. Within P, we have inner scripts, inner motivators, and your relationship with them. How deep is your current relationship with them? And by relationship, it means trust. How much do these people trust you? How good is your trust level with them? Where a lot of things become smoother when the relationship is good and is genuine. And we're not talking about um, cheating people into believing that they have a good relationship with you, but being a genuine leader who operates on values and who has genuinely good relationships with the people they work. And that is the baseline of influence. And if you can see, there's this little bit of a diagram here, and you can see there's this like two people with their bodies, and you see there are some interconnections between their chakras. Yes, now these are energetic interconnections or etheric pathways. Now, when you have a good relationship with someone and you built it over the years, or even recently, maybe over the last 6 months, what happens is that your energy transfer channels are very well established. So a lot of times Even if you don't communicate everything, they get it because at the energetic level, y'all are in sync and y'all are connected with each other. So, how can you build, and that is called pre influence, and that's your job as a leader. How do you pre influence? How do you build these genuine relationships with people, with your stakeholders? Genuine relationships built on service, built on leadership, built on excellence. How do you build these relationships so that you can draw from them when it's time? Now the next thing is the fourth point here is personality type. Yes. Now, there are many methods that you can use to know a person's personality. There is DISC, there is MBTI, there's Enneagram. There's so many different ways, and you can use whichever you like. But it helps in knowing who's driven by what is their personality type, and then it becomes easier for you to pitch to them, to present your case to them, to influence them. Yes. Now, what I like to use and what I like to share with my clients and what I like to also use with my clients in helping them balance themselves and know themselves better is the Indian medicine system's personality types that is based on Ayurveda, which is based on the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. I've done a lot of research on this and different traditional medicine systems across the world. And I've seen that even Chinese medicine systems, Greek medicine systems, Unani, Japanese, Tibetan, uh, all of them have a good understanding of personality. In Ayurveda, it's called as Prakriti. Good understanding of that and understanding a person's nature, psychophysical nature, by looking at their body type. Now, of course, we're not going to become expert Ayurvedic doctors here, but why I like the Ayurvedic system is because it recognizes two things: that by looking at a person, we can get a decently fair idea, though not an accurate idea, but a fair idea, by looking at the person and how they move and how they project themselves. And secondly, Ayurveda also recognizes that while 60% of your personality kind of remains the same, 40% keeps changing because of the changing weathers, because of age, because of the kinds of food you eat and the kind of lifestyle you live and things like that. So now somebody had posted a question to me as I asked all of you, like, what is it? What is the number one influencing challenge that you have? And somebody sent me a LinkedIn message saying that one of the challenges they have is learning how to deal with toxic people. I won't be covering that as a part of this presentation, this masterclass today, because I have a separate thing going on for that, which is called my Heal Strong program, where I run a podcast, a weekly podcast. I share shorts. I have I have a full program called the Heal Strong program, which is a five-step program in itself to help you heal and help you deal effectively with toxic narcissistic abuse in the workplace and at home. And for those of you who want the link, can DM me wherever you're watching this or send me an email and I'll send this to you. Now let's look at a little bit about these personality types. Yes, and I love the subject. So Ayurveda recognizes that the body is made up of different elements, and so do all the other traditional medicine systems. Yes, so it's earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So there's something called as Vata, V, which is a combination of air and ether, prana. Remember the etheric connections I talked to you? It's a subtle energy. Then you have something called a pitta, which is fire plus water. And there's something called as kapha, which is a combination of earth and water. Now the nature of air and ether is to move. It's not stable, it keeps moving, right? So some people whose body types are predominantly air and ether or vata, and of course there's a combination of vata, pitta, vata, kapha. There's a predominant characteristic and a secondary characteristic, but we're just looking at the predominant characteristic right now. Now, people with high vata, because air is movement, they're very energetic, they're constantly on the move. They can go zoom in into one project, zoom out, go into another, zoom out, go into another, zoom out. They are flexible, they move, and their body types are on the leaner side because air means to dry. Air doesn't hold fat, air doesn't hold water in the body. And since they're constantly on the move, their body types are lean. Yes. And they tend to be energetic, creative, and flexible. On the negative side, they can be very depressed. They can be demanding too much perfection, too many systems and things like that. Now, Pitta is fire. And what is the nature of fire? The nature of fire is to transform. And so Pitta is the person you want when you are in an emergency because they get things done. They may leave dead bodies around, but they're going to get things done. right? They're very precise. They don't waste time. They have unlimited amount of energy. They are not as fast moving as Vata, but they're very precise in their work. Vata can, because they're trying out so many things, they may not get everything right, and that's fine. We need that skill in certain areas. Pitta tends to get everything right. They're very sharp-witted and direct, and to get along with them, you have to keep telling them that they're right. And they tend to have a medium body type. They're not bulky, but they're just medium built and seem very strong. And then you have kapha, who tend to be a little bit, because it's earth and water. They tend to be a little bit more, bigger bodied, bigger, broad bodied. And earth doesn't tend to move so fast. Earth likes stability, earth likes security. These people do great at administrative jobs. They're very loyal, patient, supportive, great ombudsmen, great mediators, and things like that, right? Now, as you're dealing with people, and this is a very deep science, and we go really deep into it in the Lead with Ease Academy, and for those people who sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. Now, as you see a person, someone may have a Vata dosha, Vata predominant, someone may be Pitta predominant, and someone may be Kapha predominant. Yes? Now, as you work with these people, as you're seeing them, as you're spotting them, you know the personality type, and then you know how to appeal to them. This takes time, this takes practice, but it's your job as a leader. Now, I'm not saying you got to do this system only. I like the system because it works really well, and it's easy, even by the quality of voice, you can tell who is who pretty accurately. But you use whatever system you like. The point is knowing the personality type. Now, think about this. You are in a meeting, you're leading this effort. Your engineering manager, you're the CEO, your engineering manager, there's a new idea that's come up, a new product change, update that has come up, request. The engineering manager is very concerned about process stability and systems. Very kapha personality. Whereas sales, the person who's representing sales for you, is like, no, new markets, go, 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 new, change, newer features. This is Vata, very Vata. Yes? Now, how do you communicate to both of them and bridge the gap when you have a Pitta personality? So, understanding personality types helps you with that. Yes? And this is something that was used as war strategy in India. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj used this in winning over Afzal Khan, the pastime with the nails, and Sun Tzu from China. Like, you can see this quote by him. If he says, if he is prone to choleric temper, which is pitta, fire, irritate him, pretend weakness so that he may become arrogant. Now, of course, we're not trying to use these strategies to make people weak and irritate them and to break them and things like that. No, we want to, but these were used during war times by great leaders that whom we follow and whose teachings we still follow and whose example we still try to learn from and follow today. So I'm just sharing this with you. Yes, but you use this positively and understanding what makes this person tick. Now, at the same time, I also want you to understand that as we're working on this people aspect of the pie, the Bhagavad Gita says that the soul, each person is a soul, by the way, if we've forgotten. It's not just body type, but it's a soul. Based on the soul's desires, they get a psychophysical nature, they get this body, and then they execute, right? Now, the soul is amazing and immeasurable. Immeasurable. That's what the Bhagavad Gita says. So we are trying to use inner scripts, inner motivators. We're using relationship and personality types to understand the P part. Now, we're going to use all of these things because that's part of influencing, that's part of our role. But at the same time, remember that we can't control people. We can't know them completely in full. And it's not about control, but we try with whatever information we have in achieving the higher good. So I hope that's clear. And in the Lead with Ease Academy and in my one-on-one work, I go deeper in personality, much deeper. And some of you who signed up for the VIP experience, the leadership VIP experience, I think Carlos, Satish, and a few others did, have received access to the Lead with Ease Index, which is a leadership assessment test, part of the VIP kit, which is again based on Eastern wisdom and Western psychology, which helps you understand your personality type based on Ayurveda. Then we go deeper, the modes of leadership you operate in. What are you driven by? And the different consciousness levels. Are you like more physically conscious, or are you more emotionally conscious? Are you more intellectually conscious? What is that consciousness level that you're operating at and others are operating at? and it helps you elevate your leadership to optimum levels. And the deeper you understand yourself, the more you understand others, and it makes it easier for you to influence them, right? So we've covered pi. From pi, we've covered P, which is personality, people. And within that, there were 4 steps. And you have the workbook for those of you who are following along, and you can keep going further down in the workbook. The next is I. I is inner mastery. Yes, this is something that's key in building our leadership, is inner mastery. Now, what if you have the authority and the position, but you show up all scared and you show up with a lot of self-doubt? People can sense your self-doubt. Your subordinates, your juniors, the people who you're trying to attract, everyone can sense your self-doubt. They can sense the trust deficit you have within yourself. Yes. So we need, as leaders, to cultivate inner mastery in order to be effective leaders and effective influencers in our space, in our leadership space. And this starts with understanding your own mindset and beliefs, your own building your emotional resilience, and your behavioral reliability. So you can call it NEB, but you don't have to remember everything. You have the workbook, and you can pick which area you need to work upon and start there. So, what about mindset and beliefs here? So, how aware am I of my human needs? Like when we talked about inner motivators, somebody's inner motivators was this need for recognition. Now, everything that they do is they're operating by that need for recognition. And that helps you understand that, and that helps you give them the recognition they're looking for so that they can help you move things ahead, right? That's part of your influence strategy. But you also have certain human needs which are, and your decisions are being shaped by those needs. So building awareness of those needs and not allowing your decisions to be shaped by those needs only, but being shaped by the higher good. That's what helps people trust you better. And that's what helps you influence others. Now, the more you understand your own human needs, the more you're able to understand others. Now, some of us have a belief of that, oh, this is the level to which I can grow. Beyond this is not for me. Because when you were a child, you were growing up, you thought that, I need to reach there. And then once you reach there, out of loyalty for your family, because nobody else reached anywhere near that or beyond that, you kind of self-sabotage and you kind of set your inner thermostat to that place, right? So if your self-sabotage thermostat is set to a certain level, you don't grow beyond. People don't feel inspired working for you. Because remember one thing, everyone's looking for somebody they can trust. Why? Because they want to be led. People don't want to figure out their lives. People don't want to figure out their career path. People don't want to do these things. They just want to do good work. They want to be in a place that's safe, psychologically safe, a place that they can trust, and a place that's growing. So when they see a leader who has that energy, and that's what we're talking about in behavioral reliability, also consistent motivation, commitment, and certainty that they're going to get things done and take the organization to the next level, people want to follow you. They're naturally influenced. So check out where your self-sabotage thermostat is also set. Also, your relationship with your past failures. How comfortable are you owning up to them? How how open you are about them and how much you're willing to learn. I met this very nice leader in Seattle, and there was one thing he told me. He said that, you know, it's all new for me too. I don't know how to lead 1,000 people, that I'm learning. And I tell my people that, hey, I'm learning this. If you see me messing up, let me know. I'm willing to learn, right? So what is the relationship with failures that you have, and how do you build a good relationship with that so that you can gain trust? So people are looking to follow, but they're looking to follow someone who is solid. And how do you become solid? With that inner mastery. Now, emotional resilience is another part of it. Like, do you get triggered? Like, the previous example that I talked about, the Pitta person um, does not have so much patience um, when somebody is talking about process and systems and stability, and they get triggered when somebody is like discouraging them about not doing new things, right? At the same time, the person may not like someone who's just like, yeah, let's go, 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 without giving them depth and giving them good information, right? Now you may get irritated in that meeting, and you may, get triggered, and you may say something that's not right and rub people the wrong way. Something that fiery personalities need to be thoughtful about. Yes. So, what are your emotional triggers? How much do you remember your emotion? How much do you know, and how good are you at managing your triggers? How good are you at emotional regulation? Now, can you hold discomfort and not react? Like sometimes you are in meetings that are not concluding, that are taking too long, and because you can't hold into that discomfort because you're looking for speed, you end up, signing up, or to relieve discomfort, you end up pushing decisions that are not ideal, or you're uncomfortable with um, a certain way in which something is being done. You can't hold that discomfort in, and you push people towards a decision that not everyone is inclined towards. Yes. So how do you handle? Can you hold on to discomfort, or somebody is playing, very hard to get, or they're only negotiating in a way in which that's only beneficial to them. There's no win-win. Now, how do you, as a leader, can you hold your discomfort in that moment, employ the right strategies, and instead of trying to close, employ the right strategies by holding your discomfort. Usually, when we're uncomfortable inside, we want something on the outside to change so that we don't feel uncomfortable inside. But no, how can I stay with that discomfort, and how can I move this towards what's beneficial? Yes. And then how good is your resilience in setbacks? There's a beautiful book on anti-fragility that Nassim Taleb Nicholas talks about. And it's really nice. So how many times can your back be broken, and how many times can you come back up? How many times you think of it like, okay, wow, that's one more way, I know it doesn't work, so now there are only so many ways it works, and I'm going to find a way. So how good is your ability to bounce back? How anti-fragile you are? And that's all part of inner mastery, and that's all part of influence. A lot of times we think influence is an outer game about how do I say things, how do I do things, etc. But no, it's an equal inner game that's going on over here, right? And behavioral reliability, is this leader consistently motivated? Are they committed, or are they like going to leave like the Titanic, at the first sign of the sinking, or are they going to take everyone together? How certain they are, how well managed in their time. Now look at certainty. um, Ronaldo, when you see him, and I so wish I could play a video, but I somehow with the tech I don't know how to play a video while I'm doing a live presentation with you. Is that when you are seeing him, and you see a lot more people fighting for that ball over there, and yet when you watch the matches, even if Ronaldo's nowhere near that, like as close as the others are, just by looking at his body language, he's going to get it. And that's the certainty he exudes. Now, where does that certainty come from? It comes from preparation, it comes from inner conviction, it comes from emotional regulation, it comes from expertise. And it comes from like, I'm going to get it no matter what. It comes from commitment. Similarly, Djokovic, my favorite player. I just love him. I love like watching him play in this individual sport, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like him. Is that sometimes he's down two sets, and you still look at the certainty in his body, and you know that he's going to win the next three sets, and he's going to win the match. Yes. And you see the same thing in the next generation, which is Carlos Alcaraz, the Spaniard, right? And he keeps saying Spanish. Spanish never dies, right? Now, when you see their body language, you know they're going to win. You know they're going to go for the ball. You know they're going to get it, right? Now, when you are in a horse race, and of course, I don't promote gambling, but just for the effect of the example, which horse are you going to bet on? The one that looks most certain to win. Now, how do you know which one looks most certain to win? By how that horse is running, what the history is like, and things like that. So people put their bets on you, and they're ready to be influenced by you when you have this inner mastery, right? Now, there was this founder I was working for, but not yet worked on their inner need for recognition, validation, and approval. It showed up in all their meetings. It became difficult for people to commit to them and to do things for them. And people would eventually start leaving. And we had to work on this founder to overcome this need for validation and approval. satisfy it elsewhere and not in the workplace, and move ahead. Another founder plagued by self-doubt. Not sure if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of I don't knows going on. Yeah, it's nice to be transparent, but not too many I don't knows, because your team is looking to follow you. So when you show up with that level of self-doubt, influence is harder. So you've got to work on that. Another founder was stuck in past glories and past struggles, kept, like, till the cows came home, kept talked about how they worked under a street light and they had no money and there was no food, and they kept saying that over and over again. It was nice and influential in the beginning, but after, like, people had compassion fatigue and they were like done with this leader after a while, right? So how are you influencing? And there are different stages and different transition points and different things you need to do, but at this inner mastery is very important. Now, somebody had written to me, I think it was Lovely, about how do I sharpen my intuition as a leader. Is by when you cultivate this inner mastery, your own energy is very calm and steady. You become more attuned to other people's energies, the signals that are coming through these etheric channels. You know exactly what's going on for them, and it becomes easier for you to communicate. It becomes easier for you to serve, right? And you become a sage-like leader, as I talked about, a Rajarishi, sage-like king. Now, and I see this in India, the sage-like king. I see this in India and a lot of Oriental cultures. And you find that the people, those leaders, were sage-like kings or sage-like leaders, Rajarishis. They are the most effective because their emotions are in control, their desires are in their control, and they can act dispassionately in achieving what they're setting out to achieve. Dispassionate from their own emotions and their own needs, but really very well focused on what they're out to achieve. Now we've done P, we've done I, like this is pi, we've done P, people, we've done I, inner mastery, and now we're going to look at executive presence very quickly. Yes. So what is this executive presence? Now, you have understood how to deal with people, you're showing up with inner mastery, but are you showing up as a leader with that leadership presence that people can trust? And there are 3 steps that I teach all my clients, and that's part of our Lead with Ease Academy courses on executive presence is gravitas, appearance, and communication. Now, gravitas is how you act. Appearance is how you appear. And communication is how do you speak. Yes? Now, gravitas, how you act, is coming from a sediment, a base, a foundation of inner mastery. P-I-E, E. We want to be really good at E, but we need a lot of inner mastery to be showing up with a lot of gravitas as a leader. So that inner mastery impacts how you're showing up and impacts your leadership presence, and it impacts your aura. So when you have inner mastery, your energy is so much clearer, your aura is so much stronger, that the minute you walk into the room, eyes turn to you and people are willing to follow. And we talk a little bit more about that with a hospital example in one of the future slides. The next thing that lends to gravitas is subject matter expertise. How well do you know your subject, the area that which you're leading? And this is not something which is just um, about the technicalities of it, but even the marketing of it, the sales of it, the product adoption of it, the funding for it, all of that. How good are you with that? And there are some leaders who show up really well on that. They're leading uh, various different companies. One of them is Satya Nadella. You can see he shows up with a lot of gravitas. There's a lot of inner mastery, there's a lot of sense of calm, and there's a lot of subject matter expertise around all these different areas that I've talked about. No wonder he is the CEO of Microsoft, and I'm sure he's guided by a very able team also. The next thing that lends to your gravitas is mastering leadership. Knowing how to show up as a leader, knowing how to have those conversations, knowing how to build strategy, knowing how to influence people, knowing how to do all of that. Yes. So you want to build that executive presence, you want to build that leadership mastery. And something that not many coaches talk about, or rather nobody talks about, is the strength of your network. How well networked are you? And by networked, I mean, how deep are your relationships in your network? How well do you know people? How fast? How much cash do you have in the bank in those relationships that you can call on favors and make things happen? All of this lends to your gravitas, your executive presence. The next is appearance, right? And people will be like, no, only my work should speak for itself. But uh, I do judge you based on how you look, right? So if you want to show up as an influential leader, a leader of influence, a person of importance, how well aligned is your professional appearance to the role you're in, right? Now, if I go for a fancy dress competition where I have to show up for an animal, this emoji is perfect. I'm very professionally aligned for that. But if I have to go for a thing that's for fairy mermaids, no, my attire is not aligned to that. Now, if you are in a professional setting, how do you dress? How do you appear? How well groomed you are? And I'm not talking about looking beautiful or becoming a model here, but how well groomed you are, how clean you are, and how consistent you are without distractions, right? As you grow higher in your position, you want lesser distractions in your appearance. Have a clean look, and that's your personal branding too, about the type of clothes you wear. Steve Jobs, black and black. Mark Zuckerberg, certain style. How do you build that style which is consistent so that people are not getting distracted by what you're wearing or how you're appearing, but they're really focused on the message? And I'm not saying you have to be so simple and black like Steve Jobs, but build your own style, right? And appear well groomed for that job, right? And what non-verbal signals are you giving? Like, I knew somebody who was like constantly itching and constantly moving, couldn't sit still. If they can't sit still, I can't. I feel disturbed when I'm with somebody who's not being able to sit still, without any judgment here. But can I trust this person who can't hold their body still together, right? So a lot of these non-verbal signals you're giving out, a lot of expressions you're making, and it's nice to take videos of yourself communicating and doing that so that you know how you're landing on people, because that's part of influence. Now, this person who had constant movement had a Vata imbalance, had too much air and ether, very imbalanced in the body, and we had to help them balance that through different techniques. And your inner mastery also lends to your good appearance. The next thing is communication. How clear you are in your ask. Are you roundabout, wound all around because you're feeling embarrassed about making an ask? No, that's part of your job. How clear are you in making your ask? Can you hear the music behind the words when somebody is talking? And can you respond to that music behind the words when they're talking? Like they're talking, they're showing up their inner motivators, they're showing up their inner scripts, they're showing up their needs, their frustrations, their pain points. Now, when you're communicating, are you able to respond to that music behind their words? Can you speak according to personality types, and can you persuade according to their frame of reference and their personality types? Right? Different people need different ways to communicate. So all of these lend to your executive presence, give you a strong aura. And I will mention about the hospital example. Like if you, uh, I was doing this presentation on energy mastery in Seattle, I think about 10 years ago. And I was talking about how when we go to hospitals, we usually come back feeling depleted and low. And I thought that was because um, there's sadness in the hospital. But as I went deeper into the whole energy sciences and the chakra systems from the Atharvaveda, what I understood is that energy flows from high to low. When you are going to a hospital, a lot of these people are weak, are sick, and their aura and their energies are weak. So what happens is they latch on etherically to your system, your energy system, through these etheric cords, and your energy starts going towards them. Unless you have a very strong aura and you know how to block your aura, you end up leaking a lot of your energy like that. Because your aura has become weak and it's got chinks in your armor, chinks, holes in the aura, you end up catching infection and you fall sick. Now, as I was making this presentation, there were a couple doctors in the room who did a lot of hospital rounds, and I didn't know they were doctors. And they were like, yeah, you're right. You're right. And then they were like, yeah, every weekend I am sick. I'm sick. I feel depleted. And this is not infection depletion. This is just depletion in my energy. And this is not just some tiredness. And you're right, this happens. Yes. Now, when energy flows from high to low, when you show up strong in your energy by doing these things that I've talked about, you end up building a very strong aura, a lot of quantum energy around you. Yes. And that causes people to be naturally drawn to you and naturally follow you. Yes, now all of that building takes all of these things that I've talked about. But it causes people to be naturally drawn to you and naturally look up to you and naturally follow what you're saying. So you don't have to say much, things just happen. Yes. Now, there is one leader whose voice was too low, and she listened to everyone, like what they were saying, because she had this very democratic, a very feminine approach to her leadership. And she spoke in a very low voice, and she would get steamrolled by her own plan of her own plans, because others would like speak over her, because she was trying to give everyone a chance to talk and their ideas met. You know, she wasn't able to make an impact, and this was affecting her in her personal life too. And we had to build a certain masculine leadership aspects in her too, which is about learning how to project her voice, and while giving everyone a chance to speak. And that's like a push model and a coaching leader approach. There are times when you need to be a pull leader also. You got to pull people together, and you got to set boundaries, and you got to take them ahead. Yes. So we had to work on her leadership style and how to build her presence just by first starting to work on her voice. Right now, you've learned pi, you've learned people, you've learned inner mastery, you've learned about executive presence. You're not going to develop all of it today, but I'm sure it's opening up a lot of light bulbs. These are some insights that probably you've thought about earlier, but it's now giving you a structure today. Now, there's something called as pre-influencing. It's all of these things are not just about preparing just before that high stakeholder meeting or that big thing that you need to achieve. Right? There's something called as pre-influencing. And there's this beautiful quote which has been attributed to Saint Francis of Assisi. And I hear my spiritual master say this multiple times in multiple lectures. And he says in a different context, and of course, St. Francis of Assisi also meant it in a different context, but it connects here as well, because we're all trying to influence in the mode of service too, is you must preach always, but speak only when required. You must preach always, but speak only when required. And what it means is by, of course, he's the St. Francis of Assisi in France, and there's this beautiful church which I've heard about and hopefully get a visit sometime, just to know more about this man. Um, is he's saying that you don't have to keep sitting and like giving lectures on the scriptures all the time to influence people and come to spirituality. Just by your behavior, just by how you do things, you are always preaching. People are always taking your inspiration. Now, similarly, leaders who you see who are getting instant buy-in as soon as they walk into the meeting, they have done the pre-influence work, right? And this is not pre-influencing work so that I get the buy-in. This is who they are. They've showed up with the pie, like a really nice pie. They understand people really well. They have solid relationships. They know how to modulate. They know how to listen to the music behind the words. They know how to change their pitch accordingly in a way in which that it appeals to the other person and brings a win-win. They have tremendous inner mastery. They have built their executive presence. They have built their network. So they've already been influencing. And one thing I forgot to mention in the executive presence is also communication. And I think it's there in the workbook. I put it down in the workbook, but I forgot to mention it. Is one thing about executive presence and subject matter expertise is also showing thought leadership in your work. And it's very easy these days to show thought leadership. We don't have to publish a book. You can talk about your subject on LinkedIn. You can be talking about these things on your internal forums in the workplace or in whatever forums. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to make an impact in whatever forums out there, you got to show your thought leadership by serving other people and achieving similar wins in that specific area and expressing yourself, because that's also part of pre-influencing. So you must preach always, but speak only when required. So how can you pre-influence? And this is a long game. This doesn't happen overnight, and you got to be ready for the long game because that's the trajectory you've chosen to be a leader, to be an entrepreneur, to be a founder, and this is part of the works, right? In every fun thing that we do, like think about it in life, right? Like I like to bake, and I just ordered a bread baker, my second one in 2 decades. I'm really excited about baking bread today, right? But then there was this whole thing about ordering the bread maker, making sure I have all the ingredients, baking the bread, making sure I have the bread knife, and doing all of that. Now, then if somebody likes woodworking, a lot of time goes in just sanding the wood. You want to create beautiful things, but part of the creation is very little. There's a lot of time that goes into sanding the wood. Recently, we had a beautiful festival, Krishna Janmashtami, celebrating the birth of our lordships. And I wanted to make matching jewelry for my deities. And the time amount of time I spent in actually, doing that happy activity of making matching jewelry was very little. There was so much time that went into preparation, getting the right beads, going to the market, getting the right beads, going to the shops, planning the design, checking out designs, setting out time, setting out my workspace where I could do this properly. Then I made a mess. Then I had to put everything back together, organized because all the beads, the remaining beads got messed up. So a lot of the boring stuff is needs to be done so that we can do the interesting stuff really well. And that's part of pre-influencing. It may be boring, it may seem like a lot of hard work, and we will not get immediate results, but that's part of the long game and that's part of your growth as a leader. Now, how can you uh, start building those genuine relationships based on service, based on helping people, based on showing up, right? How can you have consistency in presence? And I'm noticing a lot of typos in this presentation. I'll fix it for the next time. Thank you for bearing with me. How can you be consistent in your presence? And what does consistent in presence mean? It's not just about appearance, it's about showing up in those important meetings, showing up in those forums, showing up in those events, showing up in serving. And how consistently are you present in those things so that when you actually show up to make an ask, it's not a new thing. It's like, oh, where were you? You just come when you need something. Uh, your thought leadership on forums, internal forums, whether you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure you have your own networks where you're influencing people. How can you show your thought leadership there? Or on LinkedIn, right? And have you developed a clear and a consistent leadership brand? One thing is appearance, but one thing is what are you known for? What are you known for in the subject? In the field. Oh, this person is great in cloud AI services. I don't know if that's a thing, but they're known for that. Or this person's known for instant messaging, or this person's known for security, right? How clear is your leadership brand so that people remember you for that? So when you talk about that or make an ask about that, they already see you as an expert, right? So that's building that clear leadership brand. And also the human aspects of your leadership brand, uh, which is, oh, I really like her because she's very clear in how she communicates. Or I really like her because she remembers everyone's names. These are the personality aspects of your leadership brand, and what have you cultivated or what comes naturally to you. And that's establishing that. How can you seed ideas in advance? Like marketers do that, right? Pharma companies do that. Um, I remember like there was a time when like everywhere I went, there were like these huge containers of coconut oil and Costco full of them. Now I don't see them so much, but there was a time when there was like just so much coconut oil everywhere I went, right? Big, huge containers. And then I traced it back and I realized that, oh, before they even put the product out in the market, there were so many articles and so many studies that they were talking about the benefits of coconut oil. There were so many influencers that were talking about that. You got influenced, so when you enter the store, you're like, I need coconut oil. Right? So how are you seeding ideas in advance? People don't get influenced in an instant. How are you seeding those ideas in advance? And we do that in marketing all the time, and it's called the nurturing phase. How are you seeding ideas in advance? How are you nurturing people? And how are you influencing the influencers? Now, if you have a stakeholder whom you have to work with and who's you need their buy-in. Okay, how do you know who are their influencers who are already in their close group, whom they trust, etc.? So how are you influencing them? And again, all of this coming from a genuine space. This is not about cheating. This is not about manipulation. This is not about politics. It's about being genuine and showing up. And when you do these things right, how does it help you? It helps you overcome politics because you're already seen as a person of influence because you're playing this long game. Politics outside the room does not stand because it just doesn't, because the contrast is too big for what they're trying to say and what you are all about, right? Projects come naturally your way. Stakeholder discussions flow with lesser resistance, and you've won half the battle even before the meeting starts, even before you enter the room. Now, so this is why pre-influencing is very important, and I want you all to take a moment to build some strategies around this. Yes. So all of these things that are that part of pie, what can you start doing now in order to start pre-influencing? How are you showing up as that person of influence, person of importance, person of trust, person of presence, person of subject matter expertise, person of clarity, thought leadership? How are you showing up? Good, deep relationships in the community, in the networks, right? Because today you're founding this company. Tomorrow you'll be founding many other companies. 10 years later, you may be a VC who is funding many companies, and this is all going to be based on relationships. Right now, you are working for a company at a certain leadership position. Uh, 5 years later, you'll be in another company at the competitors at a leadership position. So, how are you playing this long game where you're building your brand, building your influence that is not connected to your authority of the position, but it's about who you are and what you bring to the table? Next is influence strategy, which is based on insights from Pi, right? So you got people, you got inner mastery, you got executive presence, but there's different strokes for different folks, and there's different strokes for different situations. So you got to also understand the situation, the person, the stakeholder you're trying to influence is what is the leverage point, absolutely non-negotiable for them, but you can use it as an entry point into your influence strategy. Now, what do I mean by that? Is that, example, if the mandate the stakeholder has right now is limited by the cost cutting that the organization is going for, and you're trying to pitch something. Now, this is the mandate, they've expressed this thing. Now, how can you dance with them and help them fulfill that mandate with whatever you're trying to sell to them or whatever you're trying to give to them? Yes. Think of it like a dance. Everything, by the way, in life is dance. Think of it like a dance. You're trying to dance in step with somebody, and you're anticipating their steps, and you're trying to dance with them. So when they pull you forward, they're going backward. You got to step forward. When they're going forward, you got to step backward. When they're ready to swirl you, you're ready. You're giving yourself, your body the flexibility to allow yourself to be swirled. But then, how are you being in step with them, earning their trust, and then leading them to the dance that you want to have, which is also win-win for them. So understanding their leverage points, their absolutely non-negotiables, is very important. And these could come from their inner scripts, this could come from their inner motivators, and this could also, here what we're talking about when you're building influence strategy, it could come from the environment they are in, right? And that's the leverage. And part of the leverage can also come from the pain points. They have some pain points with the current technology that they're using or the current vendors that they have. And these are very specific pain points that are specific to their organization. Now, how can you use those entry points to get in and influence them by telling them that, hey, I get you, I understand your pain point, I know, and this is how I can solve it for you, right? Now, this could even be an individual contributor who's trying to give their best, but then they're struggling with certain aspects of the organization and they're talking to you. And they're losing trust and faith in your leadership. But then how do you understand their pain point help them overcome it, and create a win-win situation for both. Now, what is their frame of reference? Also, is something you have to understand. Like in coaching and counseling, that's what something we learn is entering the client's frame of reference, seeing things as they see things, not as you see things, right? Now, they may be loving what you're presenting, but then they have a resource crunch, they have a time crunch, they have a product crunch, they have some timelines, or they've tried certain things in the past and they've not worked for them, and they're presenting all of these, to you, but you're not able to enter their frame of reference. And for the last 4 years, I've tried hiring digital marketing companies to help me with my marketing. But I find that they are a one-trick pony. The ones that I approach, and I'm sure there are great companies out there, but my luck and wherever I went, I found that they are a one-trick pony, and they want to impose their system that works, that one trick that works for all their customers on me. But my business is different. The way I'm running things are different. My values are different. My ethics are different, and my needs are different. But they're not able to step into my frame of reference and give me what I'm looking for. And I have very clear asks of what I'm looking for, but they don't know how to do that. So they keep pushing that one trick on me, and it doesn't work. Uh, no wonder I haven't signed up with any of them, and they don't have my business. Uh, well, maybe I could have done better having a marketing company, but I'd rather do things in a certain way in which I want than get pulled into a certain way of doing things which may not work for me, right? So if those marketing companies really wanted to influence me, really get my business, they would try to understand my frame of reference and where I'm at and my challenges, and give me a solution that works for me. Until I hear that language, I'm too scared to sign up with somebody. So when you are building your influence strategy, do you understand their frame of reference, and how can you tailor what you're saying to their frame of reference? And then there's persuasive communication. Again, using those leverage points, inner scripts, inner motivators, and different things, and your relationship with some, you could ask a personal favor because too much cash in the bank in that relationship, or with some, you have to drive with facts and logic. Your communication with some, it's about shared goals. With some, it's about shared values. With some, it's about direct authority. Come on, move. Let's get things done. So, what communication strategy are you going to use as a part of your influence strategy? So that's what we are, and I'm just going to show you some interesting stories, two stories from the past. I've already discussed many contemporary stories and scenarios, and I just thought I should also talk about these two very interesting stories. When I first read them, I was like, wow, how did he do that? Yes, so as you're building pi, you understood people, inner mastery, and your executive presence, and you've understood there's something called as pre-influence, and you've understood that there's something called as building an influence strategy on top of pi. There's this story where there's this king Kamsa, who is his sister Devaki, the lady you see in the red with her hands folded. He's just got her married to this nice prince Vasudev, who's trying to hold his hand and control his sword. Um, and he's like very happy, and he's taking his sister on the chariot, towards her new, the home of her husband, along with the husband, and he's like driving them over there. But then he hears this prediction that her children are going to be the reason he's going to be killed, and he loses himself. High pitta personality plus conscious level is very demoniac, very low, very not so good. Mode of ignorance, tamasic, yes. So he hears that, and he's like, oh my god, her children are going to kill me. Let me kill her. So this is this person who's had like this complete mood shift. Very happy, got his sister married, gave her so many gifts and riches and so many things, and he's driving her to her new home, and then he hears this and he's ready to kill her. Now, how do you influence this person into not killing her? He's enraged, he's got the sword out and he's about to kill her. How do you influence this person in not killing her? And then there's a beautiful chapter in how her husband, Vasudev, who you see, who's with the turban holding this King Kamsa's hand, and how he speaks, which like a sage, with such calmness in that situation where his wife is going to be killed and he's going to be next. with some such calmness, and he's able to come to a certain middle ground by influencing Kamsa. This is a person who has no leadership authority, no position, and he's just relying on his himself and God, of course. But when you read the way he speaks, you see how he is appealing inner motivators, his personality type, his position, Kamsa's, all of these things, with a lot of inner mastery inside, with a lot of overcoming all the mindset and belief challenges, emotional regulation, and a lot of behavioral consistency and trust, and how he is able to earn Kamsa's trust and protect him and his wife from being killed. It's fantastic class on masterclass on influence. Then there's another one where you see Krishna. There's a certain tradition, and this is about change management too. There's a certain tradition that Krishna's community, Lord Krishna's community in India, when he was there 5,000 years ago, they're following a certain tradition of worshipping the rain god, for thanking him for giving them the rain, which gives the wonderful grasses, which gives the cows the nourishment to eat. And then, they have the wonderful milk from 900,000 cows, and that's the entire economy of that place. And Krishna tells them that no, we're not going to worship, we're not going to do all this yearly thing for the rain god. We're going to start worshipping the hill, because that's where our cows goes, and that's what helps with the wind movement and the rain and protection and water and farm and so many things. And it's a wonderful way you can read how he's doing it. He's not saying, I'm God, listen to me. He's a child. Many people have forgotten he's God, so he's also a child, 7-year-old boy, and he's able to influence the leaders of that community, which owns 900,000 cows, to change years of their practice. Right? That's another beautiful masterclass, and he does it by appealing. He's not talking spirituality. He's not talking. He's just talking facts and logic. Right? So this is a different persuasive strategy. So here we go again. We've got pi, the 3 steps to influence with ease, and we've got here we've got, just checking in. Yes. So we've got the 3 steps to influence with ease. We've got people, inner mastery, and executive presence. And some of you lone wolves can do it alone, because you have this beautiful workbook that I've created. Yeah, I'm trying to tell myself I did a good job. You got this nice workbook with 24 pages with so many details over there, and so many areas of reflection, and you can choose where you want to start your journey and start building from that. And you have access, limited time access to this recording, where some of you prefer to do this and apply insights on your own, which is a good thing. But some tend to know the reality about yourself, that life gets in the way. You've learned these things and you're like, yeah, I want to implement them. But it becomes hard to stay focused and consistent, because there's so many things demanding your attention, that all this development and growth and things kind of takes a backseat. We're more focused on the immediate. It's easy to forget, lose momentum, hard to hold yourself accountable. And then you're left with your own ideas. You're just left alone trying to do things, and it becomes hard to process so many things yourself. And the thing is that when you're not able to do it, you stay stuck at the same level. Your company stalls, your employees leave, you stop growing, and you wonder why that's happening. And when you stay in the same situation, your company plateaus, key employees leave, investors lose confidence, becomes hard to again get their trust going. You're left with excellent ideas and intellect, but no field of activity. We have all the intelligence, but you need the tools, you need the field where you can exercise all of that, you can engage all of that, and you're left with nothing. And you're like stagnating, and you see other people rising and influencing, etc. Boards and teams stop listening, friends stop coming, peers stop coming, because you're not interesting anymore, because you're kind of stuck for a long time where you are. And there's so much personal strain also, because you're frustrated, you're not happy. It shows up at home, in your relationships, how you deal with your partner, with your children, and how you just deal with life. Yeah. Now, what senior leaders know, what high achieving leaders know, is that support isn't optional. You can't be an expert at everything. And so they choose to have a thought partner to navigate complexity, to keep them accountable. And coaching helps you with inner mastery and executive presence too. And the right support helps you break through and rise. So, for those of you who are ready to accelerate, who don't want to be that lone wolf, who are not happy being a lone wolf, some people are like, I'm happy being a lone wolf. Yes. Uh, then the remaining slides are not for you. But for those of you who know that I don't want to be a lone wolf and I don't want to be doing all of this on my own, I've tried things in the past and I'm done with do it yourself. I'm at a certain level where I'd rather like a done for you, tailor made service for me with an expert who knows what they're talking about and who can help me. I have a special invitation, which is private one on one coaching with me for a year. It's a premium high touch coaching engagement, tailored support, uh, white glove, velvet glove. I think it's velvet glove more than white glove. It's velvet glove service for you, where you go through the Lead with Ease index, understand your own personality type, you understand yourself as a leader really well, you define your outcomes, and you become great at achieving the goals you've set for yourself and at influencing people. So we're not just talking about influence, we're talking about your whole leadership development. And since this is a whole person approach, we look at the entire spectrum of your life, um, because stuff at home impacts you in the workplace too. And for those of you who are not ready yet, you can always check out the Lead with Ease Academy, which is, you're not ready for one-on-one coaching. You still don't want to be lone wolf, but you're looking for more self-starter, self-paced stuff. I have the Lead with Ease Academy. You can check the link in the description below. But for those of you who are interested in getting this kind of support, um, here is where there are more details. So for those of you who are watching it from the replay page, you find the details below. And this is what is included in the service. Now, what makes me different is I work together on the full spectrum and I apply the Eastern wisdom and Western psychology methods. And just like I've loved serving other leaders, I'd love serving for you as well, because I truly believe that the soul is Satchidanand, that's full of knowledge, eternality, and bliss. And it's because of all of these different coverings, we're not able to access true happiness and true potential and true peace. And I love serving you in achieving that. It's just my greatest joy to be your cheerleader and to be your coach. Now, what's included in this service is deep one-on-one coaching with me for a year at a frequency and format tailored for you, personalized exercises and direct feedback to sharpen your influence and leadership presence. And I do it like a coach, in a kind and compassionate way, in an encouraging way. And you get private Voxer or text support with me between sessions for real-time guidance, because we've discussed some insights in some sessions, and then you're trying to apply it in a meeting, you're trying to get into a conversation, and you're like, but how do I do this? I'm here for you. This, as I said, it's velvet glove service. You are my priority, and you have unlimited access to me in that case. You also get priority access to more than 100 courses and guided meditations, library that I have, private retreats, and live events that I do. And the coaching integrates your inner mastery, your spiritual alignment, and your leadership strategy and life. So you can lead and live with excellence. Now, for those of you who are ready to do that, what you need to do is hit apply now. When you hit apply now, it takes you to an intent form, an application form, where you fill up the application. It helps me know you better. Once you've submitted your application, it takes you to the next step, which is to book a clarity call with me. Now, in that clarity call, this is a non-coaching call. It's a focused conversation to explore your vision and to determine if this private one-on-one coaching with me is the right fit. And once we agree, then both sides see value, and I see that I can serve you. Because sometimes I know that I can't help this person, and I try to point you to somebody else. But when I see that we're a good fit and you feel we're a good fit, then we enroll you and you'll be invited into that private coaching container with me. Now, for those of you who take this fast action and do all of this in 24 hours, that is, you watch this and you book a call with me, fill up the application form and book a call with me in the next 24 hours. And on that call, when that happens, it may not happen in the next 24 hours, but if you booked that call, and in that call, you do sign up, And there are some extensive, extremely amazing fast action bonuses that I have curated for you, which is, remember I talked about something called as a lead with ease index. Now, the lead with ease index is something that I have developed as an assessment for you. And it's a foundation of my coaching, and everyone who signs up for my coaching gets it. But for those of you who do this fast action together, we will uncover your Ayurvedic personality type, your mindset, goals, and consciousness. So we'll have a good deep dive into that and building strategies and lifestyle changes around that. But I'm also going to help you with a personalized Ayurvedic consultation with an expert practitioner who will go through that with you and create a tailored lifestyle and diet plan to balance your specific leadership type. Remember, I told you about like, if you're too fiery, you end up leaving dead bodies around. So how do you calm that? And calming that is not just the mind. And I said this program is holistic. It's about the body, the energy, the mind, the intellect, and spirituality. So I am going to help you get that with that Ayurvedic consultation with an expert. This is something from my network of trusted friends and people who do this. And this ensures that your body and your energy is aligned with clarity and steadiness you need for high stakes leadership. Now, the story keeps getting better. In addition to this personalized Ayurvedic consultation with an expert, I'm also going to arrange for you 6 energy clearing sessions with an energy worker. Now, why do we need that? Because as we go through your coaching together, and we discover some pain points, we discover some beliefs that need work and some blind spots, all of these thoughts also rest as energy in your body. So many times you've changed it here, but your inner energetic circuitry is still operating from the old system, or your chakras are still wounded by the old thought patterns that you're carrying. So, with these 6 energy clearing sessions with a skilled healer whom I trust for all my clients, he will work with you to release that stress, that pattern, and those energy blocks that are quietly undermining your presence and your leadership needs. So, this clears that inner static so you can show up with high energy and you can do things with strength and clarity. Now, what you need to do to get these bonuses is to do all of this, is to fill up the application form and book that clarity call with me in the next 24 hours since this class started, and to also sign up for one-on-one coaching with me during that clarity call, right? So then you get these bonuses. Now, these are some of the reviews. My clients lead in top companies around the world. These are some reviews and recommendations that I have from different clients, and I'm ready to work with you. Now, for those of you who are not yet ready to get into that one-on-one coaching space with me, I have something else here for you, which is the Lead with Ease Academy. And I believe I'm sharing the tab. Well, let me see what's come up here. Let me see if you can see it properly. Yes, so the link to the Lead with Ease Academy is also there in the description where you're watching. And with this, you get access to my 3-step pro method to help you develop your leadership and to do it with ease, which is emotional awareness, spirituality, and excellence. These are the different modules you get access to as a part of the membership. And by the way, the ones who sign up for my private coaching get access to this and many other courses and modules of mine. So you're learning at the people level, the relational level, the organizational level. And you also can become a certified coach in my company, like from my team, from my school. And there are these different ways in which you can work. There are 2 levels of support. Silver is where you're on your own, it's a self-starter, and gold is where you also get access to 2 group coaching calls with me every month, right? So you can take your time to do that and find out which one is the best fit. But for those of you who are who are CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, high potential leaders, who really want to get to where they are and are like, trying to align yourself to the next level, your next step is to hit apply now, fill out the form, book a clarity call, discuss and check fit and enroll. And within 24 hours, you get the fast action bonus. So it has been a pleasure serving you today. with pie. I hope you like the pie we baked together. The 3 steps to influence with ease, which is people, inner mastery, and executive presence, and building your influence strategy in context of pi and in context of the frame of reference, the leverage points, etc., that your the person you're trying to influence is in, and using the right persuasive strategy. And also the timeline in the project is very important. Sometimes you're trying to create influence when the project is already full steam ahead, and that can be added as a next iteration and not in this project. Yes. Now, I'm very happy that I got a chance to serve you with this, and I look forward to serving many of you inside the Lead with Ease Academy and some of you in my private one-on-one coaching container. So thank you so much for being here. This is me concluding the Influence to Win Leadership Masterclass, and I look forward to doing this more often. Thank you. See you, and bye-bye.